The Summoner in 5 minutes. The Summoner wields a magical book to conjure powerful affliction spells onto his enemies that inflict pain over time while summoning impressive eggy versions of some of our all-time favorite primals. Unlike the Black Mage, the Summoner has tons of utility, like strengthening his group mates as well as having the ability to raise them to continue their fight. Since patch 5.1, the Summoner is the strongest DPS when taking all his capabilities into account, and when you manage to deal with this large arsenal of OGCDs. Nothing will stand in your way to conquer the top damage position of your group, except some heavily padded and skilled Black Mages or Samurais maybe. So regarding his tier ranking or the meta, the Summoner is on the top position, and even if the balancing is still nice nonetheless, our Eggy Master seems to be a logical choice for at least one spot in your group. Gearing as Summoner is very straightforward. Head for item level and weapon damage, and move into nice critical hit values afterwards. When it comes to direct hit and determination, you're mostly forced to take some pieces with dead and others with direct hit. But D-hit is in a slight advantage, so melding pieces with crit maxed out, your choice should go to D-hit. But the most important thing is to avoid spell speed, because of the insane number of OGCDs the Summoner has at its disposal. Okay, let me try to compress all that insane Summoner theory into the last minutes. While patch 5.1 changed a lot for the Summoner, the basics remain, still having that 2-minute cycle rotation, sort of. The caster stance or opener. Here you will use your Eggy Assaults, which are hard cast spells now and don't fit into your recast timer anymore. Therefore try to use them wisely, because they can also be a tremendous tool to use for any form of movement situation, or to avoid hard cast clipping or delaying. That means if you want to use your OGCDs ASAP after each Rune 3, you have to use Rune 2, 4 or Eggy Assaults to prevent your next hardcast spell being delayed, by creating space for OGCDs inside the instant cast recast timers. Also try to choose between using Dreadworm Trance directly at the start of the fight or delayed behind the first 3 Eggy Assaults, which is the recommended balance rotation. In some fights that definitely makes a difference, but in most of them it actually doesn't, especially without Dancer support. Furthermore, use Energy Drain on cooldown, use Devotion between the 3rd and 4th GCD, and throw in your Enkindle attack right after that. If you want to use a potion, try to put it in your first recast timer after applying your dots with Try Disaster. Nonetheless, get rid of your Eggy Assaults at least until Bahamut is ready, and avoid using Rune 4 procs caused by Eggy Assaults during your Dreadworm Trance, because it already turns your Rune 3 spells into instant casts. Coming to Bahamut's stance, which should be started with Summon Bahamut as the second OGCD after your Death Flare, unless your Enkindle is nearly finished. Then you should delay Bahamut for 1 or 2 GCDs. Bahamut's stance itself requires you to use Akmon right after the first Rune 4 proc, that is now fixed since 5.1 and instantly triggers Bahamut's Worm Wave. The optimal count of Worm Waves that follow each of your GCD spells is at 8, but putting out 7 won't mean the end of the world. Keeping swift cast or doing mechanics in a safe way often pays out way better than a perfect execution of a specific rotation. The only thing you definitely need to take care of is to use 2 Akmorns during your Bahamut phase, so try to place the first as early as possible. After Bahamut we return to Eggy Assaults again. The rule of thumb is to keep them for movement, but to use them before having 2 stacks being kept. And remember, your switch into any phase like Dreadworm or Firebird Trance should be connected through a Rune 4 or Eggy Assault follow-up to your Rune 3 to avoid delaying the next GCD. That prepared, using your last Rune 4 procs or some remaining Eggy Assaults to directly head into Phoenix, but always make sure to never use Dreadworm or Firebird Trance when Try Disaster's cooldown is nearly finished. Otherwise, you would waste the potential reset both stances grant your dot application, which is even more of a DPS loss in 5.1 because Try Disaster now also causes immediate damage when using it. In Firebird Trance you have plenty time for any OGCD, but you should stick to the 1 and 2 pattern, always alternating between Fountain of Fire and Brand of Purgatory. And of course always use Enkindle Phoenix 2 times like we did with Bahamut's Akmorn. After that we head into an intermission phase, until our Dreadworm Trance is back up, restarting our cycle. If you want to see example rotations, head for akmorning.com, which is a fantastic summoner theory crafting website, or check out my rotation video for a more comfortable dot cycle with a slight DPS disadvantage to the one of our theory crafting experts. Like, subscribe and hit the notification bell, and keep loving Bahamut, Phoenix and maybe Eggy Eden later on. Thanks for watching and see you next time.